did some research of the Sami people's culture, and we found their traditional handcrafts, duodi, as they call them. And here is an example of that. It's a kiisa. It's kind of a chest. But if we look at this chest a little bit closely, we can see that it's not round shape, not geometric actually. Or if it is described geometrically, it becomes quite complex description in comparison to a rectangle or a circle. It's an oval shape. It can be said that it is more close to natural shapes that are found around us. And the same thing repeats itself in the traditional handcraft of the Sami people all way down the line. I mean, they are very rugged plates, and they are not even really symmetric, but their form is still balanced, and they are functional. This is a handle of a Sami knife, leuku. They are very beautiful objects as well, and it's important to realize that even if some of these objects are crude, not at all of them are. They are actually made by skilled craftsmen who have a lot of time in their disposal to create these items. But what is also remarkable about them is that they are there is a scarcity of material that has been present in the Sami culture. They didn't have a lot of resources, and also because they were nomadic, they had to reduce on bulk. You don't want to carry too much stuff around if you are moving all the time. So that made their handcrafts very functional. Here is a view on in a Lappish tent, kota looking up, and here is something that is called kiela, and it's used to make a Lappish lasso. It's made out of, I think in this case it's made out of bone. And here is some carving on a piece of horn, and a Lappish boot that they still use today, because in some ways they can be superior even to the modern day footwear. So what we realized is that in these functional objects there is an underlying code of form that we could somehow adopt, we could somehow use in our design. We didn't think that we should copy anything, that is a very naive approach, but that in these original handcrafts we can find some forms that are familiar to the Sami people and that they can easily find to be their own. These are called risku, and they are kind of braces that are used to fasten scarves, and some traditional vessels and spoons made out of bone. So to the people with no previous example of communal or cultural buildings, or any really large buildings at all, we turned into these small objects to find a point of reference that would somehow carry the cultural familiarity to the people. And then to the surroundings of the building.
Yes, so connecting these previous ideas with the environment and the forms of nature, and also forms of the traditional handicraft Sami duodi, combined with the surrounding elements that are well, anyway, there is the river, there is the lake, there is Inari village, and there is a forest. We wanted these elements to push into the building. Also the room program and function was considered, and this kind of star-shaped building is quite handy with this kind of multifunctional building. So we came up with this diagram. This is the first sketch model that Janne made in the very early phase of the design, and there's something from the handicraft, something from the nature. There's some kind of feeling of Sami culture, but no one really knows what it is. So we thought that we are on the right track with the design. One thing was the connection with the surrounding buildings. There was an old school building. Yeah, it works again. School building here, and we wanted to create 2 public spaces. Here's a highway running through, so we created like a gateway to the village with the school and the cultural center. As I told you before, the growing season is very short, so it takes a long time for a tree to grow. There are some 200 to 300 years old pine trees on the site that we wanted to save, so we needed to adjust the building so that we cut down as little trees as possible. This is a circulation for the site. The pedestrian routes are separated from the car traffic as well as possible. You have a direct pedestrian route from the village of Inari to the cultural center, and here continues a hiking route. And this is the river and the highways here. One very important thing is that what we wanted was to create very how would I say, spaces with a strong experience. We wanted to, as well as possible, fade out the border between the exterior and interior with the curving glass walls, and make the visitor walk through the narrow space to an opening landscape. There's as you saw before, there's a river here and very nice natural landscape. So this is a competition phase.
Yes, so this is a competition phase rendering, and already here you can see many of the ideas that were elemental to the building, even now that it is finished. Here you can see that it's a small glimpse, but very important glimpse, the see-through aspect that Tuomas just pointed out, and from the diagram. And also another thing is that it is kind of dualistic in nature. In the nighttime, it shows the interior to the outside, but in the daytime it's more object-like, because both natures or both things about this building were very important to us. The opening up was of utmost importance because of the connection to but also because building, so it has to be possible to view it as an object. So it changes its way of expression by the time of the day. This is daytime rendering, and now we have the I think this is taken in winter of 2012, and you can see that we are I'm happy that we had the possibility to carry so many things from our original ideas also to the completion. So quickly, let's see the site plan, how it became in the end. All the things are remaining. There are pedestrian ways. Highways are of course where they always were, and the building is situated in the same spot, and the form has been a little bit simplified, but still it retains the original idea. And then next we are going to have a more detailed look to the exterior of the building.
Yes, this is a view from the roof of the school next to the Sami Cultural Center. As you can see, the building fits into the environment quite well. I think it's both the shape of the roof and the exterior materials that make that kind of feeling. Even though the plan of the building is quite complex and there are lots of curved walls, the roof is actually really simple. It's a straight slope that is there is two halls that pop out of the building. This is a cultural center, but it's also a parliament building. The Sami Parliament gathers here, so here you can see a Parliament Hall and the auditorium. Yes, because it has also this kind of governmental aspect. It has at some points and at some time of the day it has a monumental feeling to it. But on the other hand, it can be very warm and welcoming. This is a view to the main entrance. The facade material is mainly spruce. The wood turns grey by time naturally, and there are only natural treatments on the facade. There are vertical planks that go around the building. They kind of wrap the building into one object. The building has a really different daytime and nighttime character, so that on the daytime it's more like a one piece and kind of resembling, I think, the Parliament building, and in the nighttime when it gets dark and you turn on the lights, it's more welcoming and more like a building for venues and concerts and theater.
Alright, so the floor area of the building is 4,500 square meters. So it's okay, it's big, but it's not that big. But there is a quite impressive number of different functions. Like Tuomas already pointed out, there is the Parliament Hall of the Sami Parliament and an auditorium that can be also used as a concert hall. So it's a really multi-purpose room. And in addition to that, we can, from this cutout view, see that there is a large, flowing, uninterrupted main space that circulates these points of interest, the main halls. And in this flowing space, there are different functions still situated. We can find a restaurant here, and a library for Sami library here, and some more chambers for meetings are situated in the tip of this wing. And in the last wing, or one wing here, there is school at work, so we find classrooms, but also high-end recording studios and editing spaces, because the school is teaching media line for the Sami people, or young Sami people. On the last corner here we can find all the auxiliary spaces, connection to the loading and unloading, storages for the stage, and also foyer for the performance, this kind of supporting functions. And now we can still find more functions in the upper floors, but we'll come to that later. Now we will have a look at the ground floor. Here is kind of focal point of the building, as you could see from the diagram that Tuomas showed. This is the most narrow point between the two halls, the parliament and the auditorium, and the opening up of the riverside view through the generous glass wall. And on this picture that has been taken in the in another direction to the glass wall, you can really see how the interior and exterior are related. And also from this picture you can see very important thing for us, that the exterior of the building is rugged, unfinished, blending in with the nature, but then the interior, especially the shapes of the main halls, it's fine, finished. It's a little bit like an instrument or an object that has been carefully crafted. Also, you can spot that the load-bearing frame of the building is largely out of concrete. It's also because of soundproofing issues when we are dealing with concert halls. Then, when we look at the first, no, I'm sorry, I always make this mistake. This is the ground floor plan. And when we have a look at it, we can see clearly the building's form, and also the forms of the two large chambers, and also the resemblance that they have to the Sami handcrafts and forms that can be found in them. And this is a view from next to the library, facing the auditorium. There is an info desk here, and you can see the sides of these curving objects a little bit closer maybe. And I can tell you that this material that we have here, it's ordinary, fairly ordinary pine planks. They are not especially milled to shape or anything. They have been just forced into shape by screws, and they have been carefully selected not to have any or too much knots. And also they have been coated so that they have become fire retardant. Also on this picture I think you can clearly see that the important thing, that the main lobby is very high. It's full height of the building, and the roof that you see here, it's the sloping roof of the building itself. And then a look at the halls.
Yes, this is the auditorium or the concert hall. It's also oval shaped. Unfortunately, well, there are kind of dividing walls that you can divide it in two spaces, and these walls were closed when our photographer visited the building, but if they were open you could see the whole oval shape of the hall. It takes up to 600 people, so it's, well, I don't know, it's quite large. In Finland we don't have many big concert halls, especially in Inari, which is quite small place. But this is a multi-purpose hall. You can use it for acoustic concerts, but also for rock concerts or cinema or conferences. There are turning panels in the walls. Actually, they are going around the whole hall. You can adjust the acoustics into more like with more echo like we have here, or less echo what we should have here. The materials are mainly birch. And one acoustic challenge here was that because we have an oval shape, there tends to become focal points for the sound. So we needed to break down the voice and spread it evenly. So we created a system of these perpendicular panels that break the sound. So it's actually quite good acoustics. I was a little bit afraid that it becomes some kind of compromise of everything, but it's pretty good. This glass stripe here is rooms for interpreters, like our guy in the box there. He was very happy to see that we designed these here. Since there are many Sami languages in Finland and they don't understand each other, so if they want to organize a conference or meeting, they all have to have their own interpreters. And it's also good for, you can organize international conferences or happenings as well. This is the first floor plan, or the second, as you say. You can see the high spaces. These are open to the ground floor. They are public spaces, and then there are more offices for the Sami Parliament and some associations. Here is the spaces for the interpreters in the end of the auditorium. And yes, you can see that you can divide the auditorium into two different spaces. This is a Sami Archives. It's very important for the Sami people. Here you can see a view from the first floor platform to the main lobby. That's the Parliament Hall and auditorium to the left, and the main entrance with the glass walls. This building is really hard to capture in photographs because there are so many curved walls. So I really encourage you to visit the building yourself. It's quite a lot about movement in the building, how you experience it. This is a second floor plan. It's also mainly offices and some meeting rooms. Here you can see it's actually quite simple form. All the office functions are put into this high end of the building. There's also technical facilities, and these high spaces are public space. And then there are the Parliament Hall and the auditorium that pop out of the straight roof. And this is the skylight to the Parliament Hall. You can get an even very nice northern light to the hall. So this is the interior of the Parliament Hall. It's, of course, again oval shaped. The walls are made of birch. The floor is natural stone, and again the interpreters caused us a lot of trouble. There are 21 members in the Sami Parliament in Finland, and they gather around a round table where they all can see each other and they are all equal.
Alright, so here you can see the Sami Parliament really at work. They wear their traditional costumes to the meetings. At least almost all of them. I don't know what this guy is doing. So it seems that these people have taken the building to be as their own, but what about the question of cultural authenticity? I don't know, but since we have had very positive feedback from the very beginning of the building process and the end of the competition process when the results were announced to the great public, and since it has really been, the building has become part of the culture in the way that these people use it to their everyday expression of culture, and also they are very happy with it. I'd like to think that at least our efforts in making something that would be familiar, feel familiar, have some cultural aspects baked into the building, that they would have helped them somehow. So, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, we are very happy to answer them.
And what is the reaction of the local people? They like this building? What they say about this? Sami.
Yes, I think I got the question. So you mean the local people who are not Sami people, but the local Finnish people? They are also very happy about this building, because the village of Inari, where this building has been realized, it's very small. So it has a great impact into the economy of the whole village. So also in that way, it's I think for the locals it's almost impossible not to like it. I mean, even if they didn't like the architecture, I think they do.
What is the cost of the building, or maybe 1 square meter? Cost, total cost.
Okay, it's about 15 million euros. So it's actually quite low budget building for a parliament hall.
It's 1,000 per 1 meter. 1,000 euro per 1 square meter. Or not? Okay.
Do you mean how much was it? Or
okay. What is this material of?
it's about 4,700 square meters. So.
Okay. What is material of ceiling? Thank you. Ceiling.
The material.
Yeah.
It's what's called in bitumikermi. Bitumen. Oh, the ceiling. Oh, yeah. It's a product called Hera Design. It's like magnesium wood fiber board. It's also actually quite low budget material. It's used in agriculture, for example, but obviously also in the cultural centers.
Yeah. About the ceiling, I have to say, a very interesting feature of the building, because it's acoustic material, and also the ceiling is sloping. So I think these things somehow contribute to the fact that even if the hall or the main lobby is very large, it's very silent space. I think it is because there are no surfaces that would be opposing each other, because even the ceiling and the floor are not directly opposing each other as they almost always usually are. And then these round walls, obviously they are not directly facing anything, so there is almost no echo at all. So it seems like a natural place in a way.
I have a question. You have very angry climate there, and what is the structure energy effective? And as a technology, what kind of energy effective technology?
Okay, so about energy efficiency, this building was commissioned by Senate Properties, that is institute that is supervising the Finnish, all the Finnish buildings that are owned by the state, Finnish state. And they had quite high targets for the energy efficiency. So it is quite energy efficient building. The insulation that has been used in the walls, it's quite thick. The exterior walls are frame, or they are usual wooden frame glass fiber insulated structure, but just that the structure and the integrity or the air permeability of the walls is very high level, and also the technical systems that are used, for example, for heat retention in the air circulation, they are also very high level, which we have reserved, or we had to reserve and come up with huge spaces for different kind of heat, air and ventilation rooms, but they are state of the art. And also the glazing, there is quite a bit of it, but it is very energy efficient, so in that way it holds its own even if the climate is quite harsh. I hope this answers the question. Yes.
I have one more question. Two more questions actually. The first is, as far as I can see, that the auditorium is publicly accessible, right? And to what extent is the assembly hall accessible for the general public, and can they actually witness the assembly or maybe even participate somehow? That's the first question. And the second one, does this building creates a kind of like Bilbao effect of, does it have, what's your observation, does it have a kind of quality to become a landmark in the region and to become a tourist attraction of the region, or I don't know, something like that?
Okay, so first question about the Parliament Hall. It can be, naturally it can be sealed off so that there is no access by the public. There are some glazing here, or there is some glazing here where you can see what is going on in the Parliament Hall without entering it, and also you can see the round table here, and this area is reserved for the general public with chairs so that they can sit and listen to the decision making. I'm not really aware of, I imagine that because also the work of Finnish Parliament is open to public. Public can sit in the talks if they so wish. I imagine that they have the same policy. Maybe they have some closed doors meetings, but I'm not really aware how many. I expect not many. And then about the landmark status of the building, I think certainly we would hope so, but I think we are not in the position to answer really the question, but I can say that in the context where it is built, it is a very large building and a substantial investment, and just by the sheer size and this kind of weight it carries, it is very important for the whole region, and I'm sure everybody who lives in the region certainly knows it.